Will, let me go to you. We've talked a lot about Coach Noll, and Coach Noll was my father's partner. And in my book, I talk about how I think Coach Noll helped my father even become better because Coach Noll believes so many of the same things. But you played for Coach Tomlin, and Coach Tomlin, is that accountability. My father felt an accountability to create opportunities for those who weren't getting them. But my dad, he wasn't just giving a job to someone, and he believed that Coach Tomlin, not only deserved the opportunity, but was going to be effective and successful. Do you want to talk about accountability from that standpoint of how you saw it play out with Coach Tomlin?
Absolutely. I think it started, back in the 60s and 70s. And I say that because, for your dad and Coach Noll and your grandfather to hire Bill Nunn to manage scouting and to say we're going to get black college players to play in more black college players to play in the National Football League in a time of segregation, in a time of civil rights. That's powerful to stand up and do that. To go to the Deep South and to say we're going to give these tremendous athletes the opportunity and be contrarian to what the world is saying, to what our NFL is saying, to what college football is saying, is like really, really powerful. So it doesn't surprise me that, your dad is able to use his intuition and his business intelligence to hire, great people, and he doesn't want to overlook talent based on skin color. So Mike Tomlin is dear to me. He drafted me out of college. He saw something in me that I didn't see in myself at 20 years old. And we've had a great bond, since I was 20.
Well, and thanks for mentioning Bill. Bill was my first boss with the Steelers. Did so much for our organization. I had this great relationship and opportunity to talk to Bill, and he taught me about Black America and the struggles before the civil rights era, before the 60s, and then we would talk about, what was going on in Pittsburgh today and the political situation. And it was just such a privilege. And then to get to go back and putting the book together, talking to so many of the guys from the HBCUs, Donnie Shell, Mel Blount, John Stallworth. And I talked to Bill's daughter too for an afternoon, and so Bill was so special and so important. I tried to highlight that, but Will, I'm glad you brought that up because he really did change the culture of the Steelers in a way that my father had that vision. We talked about vision, but that we needed Bill to come in and teach us things. And I'm glad my father was smart enough to listen and learn. So, just really grateful that you brought Bill's name up. I don't know, Dwayne or Ed, if you want to say anything about Bill. I know you guys both spent a little bit of time around him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Bill was on, when I came in 79, Bill was one of the first people that came up to talk to me as well. He was excited that I was here. I was excited to be here as well. He fell right in line, with your father as well, because both of them did that same thing. Bill was more today oriented, and your father was more tomorrow oriented. But both of them gave that great aspect and advice to you.
Bill was a great guy, man. He made it feel like home when I got here. You're coming into a strange place. I'm leaving from Tampa, Florida, coming up here, by way of Auburn, and I didn't know what to expect. And when I saw Bill, it was just like talking to my grandfather. He's just like a regular guy, just regular people, had great success at the time that I got here already with the Steelers. Very comfortable in his own skin, not fearful of what was going on, but he was about doing his job and doing it well. And at the same time, making all of us understand that, hey, this is a family.
So the last thing, the book is basically about, it's called A Different Way to Win, but how do you win and be a good person? And I want to ask each of you guys that. how does that play out in your life? And then the last question I'm going to ask you is, do you think that makes the Steelers different? But first, Ed, if you want to start just talking about what it's like to win and be a good person, and have you had that experience in your professional life, and what did that look like?
Well, Jim, I was raised a certain way, and when I got here, I felt like I was in my parents' house. It was just like you respect people on the way up, you respect people on the way down, you respect everyone for who they are, you respect your opponents, and I just kind of felt that it was just a continuation of what I learned in my own household with my mom and dad. My mom still to this morning, still teaching me stuff about that. But that's just the way you respect everyone where they are, because no one is better than anyone else. And also along with that, work hard, and then the fruits of your labor are going to come.
Will, your thoughts on winning and being a good person?
When I was at Ohio State, especially when Jim Tressel came in, the biggest thing he said was, he took an old Woody Hayes line, and it was, you win with people, right? And, that was something that was like one of our team mottos. So to come to the Steelers and to, basically be grounded and that be my foundation of thinking is very true. And I think that's something your dad, he led with. He had a great deal of respect for people, like Evan said. But he always, I think he challenged people. He challenged the system with the undertone of respect. And, and I think you have to do that, in order to get business done, in order to make people feel comfortable, and get the most out of the most productivity, because people want to feel wanted. They want to feel a part of the process. And they also want to know that they have the autonomy to be included and to be creative in that process. And I think that's what your dad allowed people to be people.
Dwayne.
Yes. Well, a couple of things. When you walk into my office, there is a plaque there, and it reads, "What does the Lord require of you? To do justice, to love mercy, to walk humbly with thy God." Your father and your grandfather did that, and I learned that from them. Your father, he was one that he walked with his Lord. He also didn't look down on anybody. He didn't feel he was above anybody as well. Always looking to help, to improve, to guide us all in the right direction, not just as football team, but to society as a whole. So he helped so many people, not just here, and also across the big ocean as well, helping people, guiding them in the right direction. People saw that in him. That's why they all gravitated to him, all wanted to get his advice in regard to things that were going on in their business and in their world as well. When I look back on my life, I see four big men. Obviously my father, and then the next person would be your grandfather, Art Rooney. When we talk about, Will was talking about him, your father knowing everybody. I remember when I first walked in, I made the team, and I didn't know because they didn't announce it on the news that night. And so with five guys, they still had to cut. So I went in really early, that next morning, because I wanted to get in and get out if I didn't make the team. And so I got in, I went to Chuck Noll. He indicated that I had made the team. Congratulations. I walked into the locker room. I saw my name on the plaque in front of my locker. I sat down. And your grandfather got in early, with his cigar and everything as he always had. And he came over and sat down and started talking to me. And we didn't talk about, making a team or anything. He wanted to talk about my father. And, he knew about my father and everything. I'm sitting there, says, how does he know all this stuff? And, he would invite my dad up. He would go and sit in the box with the chief all the time when he came up. My father was a quadriplegic, and it was just amazing that he knew those things and he cared enough to find out about me as a person as well. And so he was the next person. And then when I started practicing law, Carl Weck, who your grandfather and father knew, with Maradera Buckler Beverneck Connect, He helped me with my career after football as well. And then, obviously Dan Rooney. So when I look back, those four people, those four men had such a tremendous influence in my life because the way they lived their life.
Wow.
Hey guys, Jim, I just wanted to make
Please.
this one extra point too, man. Just to let you guys know, Jim, I see your dad and your granddad all over you, all over Art, and I can just tell you, man, when nothing changes, that's a great thing. That's a beautiful thing. And nothing has changed in the Steelers organization all these years because you guys are carrying on the legacy of your grandfather and your father. Art's doing a great job. I know you got your hands in it, man. So just keep up the good work because, as you can see, this is touching stuff, man. But we're all family. It's all good because we're family, and we appreciate you.
Yep. Ditto.
Well, I asked questions that says going to separate them, but I think you all answered both in one. And so, I just hope you know and hear. It's a privilege for us to be part of the Steelers, to have gotten to watch in my 50 years, but really over the last 100, the lives you guys have created. And hopefully we have done some things that have been modeling or inspiring, but to see you folks go out in the world and really, really make changes, build successes for yourself using this business acumen, but also understanding that it's about people, it's about respect. So I am very grateful for each of you taking the time. Really appreciate the time you've taken with us.
Our pleasure, man. Anytime.